Alright guys, this is just going to be a quick review of some budget Chinese knives. Starting from the right hand side with the Sanremu 939, then the Inron MY801, the Spyderco Tenacious, the Ganzo 710, and the Enlan EL-01. These are quite well regarded for budget Chinese knives. The cheapest is probably the Sanremu or the Ganzo. Then the Enlan, around about $10 US. The Inron's a bit more expensive and a little harder to find. And then the Tenacious is probably worth nearly all of the rest of them put together. So a quick overview. I'm no expert in knives, I've not been into them long, but might give some of you beginners who haven't got an idea of what you might like. So we'll start with the Sanremu. At the minute it's on offer actually at exduct.com or .com. It's Sanremu. The steel is 8CR13 MOV, very common Chinese steel. It's middle of the road. I think a few years ago it would have been regarded as quite a decent steel. It's not bad. I don't actually put my knives through a lot of use, so you're better off listening to other people in that regard. But it's a very nice knife. It's very light, probably the lightest there. It's very comfy. It's very thin, the thinnest as well. There's no scales. It's just this. Just metal. It's a frame lock. It's a sheepfoot blade, which some may find is unsuitable, but it is very nice. It's sharp from the factory, very sharp. Dual thumb studs. Very smooth. It feels very well built. There's no play in it. There's a fraction, but you've got no up and down, just a fraction side to side. It could be tightened, I guess. So the pivot screw, I don't know if you can see it, is just an Allen head actually, which is quite handy, quite easy to work with, along with the rest of the fixings. The pocket clip, I've actually bent it and loosened it out, so it makes a crappy noise all the time now, and it's a bit too loose. It's a bit over-styled, but it does its job. It's only positionable there, tip down carry. And as with all of these knives actually, they don't carry very deep. Next up is the Inron, probably the least well known of this bunch actually. It's the MY801, the first knife that they've released. It's very, very similar to the Enlan. More expensive. Apparently, Inron was set up by an ex-employee of Enlan, and you'll see the similarities actually between the two. G10 scales, liner lock, much thinner than the Enlan. The liner lock, jimping there, but that's the only place. There's no jimping on the back, around here or like that. But actually it feels perfectly sturdy in hand. Very nice knife. Again, just as sharp as any of the others. The sharpest is probably the Ganzo, but I'm sure they'll all come up the same if you sharpen them well. Dual thumb studs on this one, unlike the Enlan, and the pivot points, one of those annoying Chinese pivot points, it has 4 indents in it, which makes it a little easier with the circlip pliers, because opposite each other. The flipper is great. I love the flippers on these knives. It also protects your finger there from slipping onto the blade during use. Yeah, and you'll get a really good grip. One thing to note about this is the ability to deploy with no effort at all. I didn't make it look easy there, but if you've got customs that will test it for being a gravity knife, it may be an issue. It does deploy way too easily from the closed position. It's, maybe just a bit of tightening and that would improve, but something to watch out for. Then we've got the Tenacious. Now this is probably my favourite knife. It's a bit unfair to compare it though. It's at least 3 times as expensive as any of the others. It uses the same steel, 8CR 13 MOV, see Spyderco logo, full flat grind, nice and sharp. I didn't like these when I saw them first before I was into knives. I looked at a few pictures and didn't really realise what the hype was about. But it's a great feeling knife, it feels so good in the hand. The hole I thought would be crappy to work with, actually brilliant, it feels great. You can move the pocket clip wherever you want. Feels very nice, it feels really good in the hand. There's some jimping there, but the whole profile is just it's fantastic actually. A nice size as well, it's not too big, it's as you can see a fair bit smaller than the Enlan, which is possibly a bit big for everyday carry. Drop it there. It feels very smooth. I think this one rides on phosphor bronze washers. Most of the others do actually, I think, or yeah, the Inron does. On one side it's got a Teflon washer by the looks of it. The Sanremu. Yeah, it looks the same actually. A Teflon one side and a phosphor bronze the other side. Anyway, they're all very smooth at deploying. Feel great. The next one is an axis lock. It's the Ganzo. This one feels, in my opinion, cheapest of the lot. I don't know. It's just the G10 scales on it. They're a bit rough, possibly a little grippier. Yeah, in gloved hands it may be better, but it just feels a little cheap to me. The screws aren't as recessed as well. It could just be rounded off. It's something you could play with. Yeah, the axis lock, copy of a Benchmade design. Obviously these are Chinese market only, so they get away with it. The blade's great. Like I said earlier, it's actually the sharpest one. Quite a nice shape to it. Pretty much flawless. A few fingerprints marks on it now, but very shiny. It looks great. I think it's very slight hollow ground, and yeah, definitely the sharpest. Pocket clip can be reversed, but it can't be put the other end. The pocket clip is the best in a bunch. Actually, let's check the yeah, the Spyderco one's pretty good. But it's got a nice rise on it, and it easily goes into the pocket. The liners aren't skeletonized. Yeah, it's a reasonable weight. Dual thumb studs. Yeah, that's it. I mean, it's a good knife. It's my least favourite of the bunch. I'm not sure why, but it is. And then the Enlan, which is fantastic heavy duty budget Chinese knife. For the money they are, this is probably the best value here. Very similar to the Inron. Deployment is a little stiffer, which is much better if you're going to try and get free customs. I mean, I'm assuming that all are the same. You may get a completely different tightness on your quality control. The pivot pin is a bit more annoying. It's the 3-pin, so slightly harder to work with those circuit pliers. Bit of a pain. Finish, I would say, is very similar to the Inron. Maybe the Inron's slightly better finished actually. Jimping on it, there's jimping everywhere. Jimping there, on the top of the back, bottom of the back, and on the liner lock. But in my opinion, it doesn't make much difference. It feels very similar to the Inron. It's slightly thicker, and you'll see that in the liner lock is much thicker. The liner of the whole knife is very thick, actually very heavy duty, thickest there. And a great knife. They're all great knives. None of these are crappy, and for the money they're hard to beat. Just to give you an idea, something very accurate on fabric here. Set of scales, just compare the weights, so I'll run through them. The Enlan 152 grams, this is. The Ganzo is 150. The Spyderco, probably the lightest, is 112. The Inron 140, and probably the second lightest is the Sanremu 939, which is 126. 9 series Sanremus are pretty much finished. I think this is the last easy to get 9 series knife. So I would definitely have bought more Sanremu 9 series, but they've stopped making them, so it's a bit harder, or you've got to pay over the odds. Yeah, feel free to make any comments, any suggestions. Thanks for watching, and see you next time. Bye.